And welcome everyone to a Missouri Valley Conference chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by the Commissioner, Jeff Jackson. Jeff, we are approaching, and we got like 7 weeks, it feels like, but we're getting closer and closer to Arch Madness, March Madness. What is the latest with St. Louis, with the facility going forward in agreement with this conference?
Well, one, we're really excited. It's a great season, extremely competitive for the opportunity to be in Arch Madness and possibly have a chance to earn a Missouri Valley AQ. In regards to the Enterprise Center, we'll be announcing sometime in the next week or so that we are extending our contract with them. It is a great relationship. We're very fortunate to have access to this building, to be able to play our championship in this city. It's been here for 30 years. It is a tremendous event. And we're just kind of tickled that we continue to be able to move forward and take advantage of all the things that St. Louis is and all the things that the Enterprise Center is able to do for our student athletes.
So before we talk about the league and what's ahead here in the next month and a half, let me just drill down a little on this tournament because it has great history. It is so well supported both locally and certainly with the fan bases. For the most part, it is a regional fan base league. People can get there. What has made it such a successful venue and meeting place, if you will, for all these different fan bases to gather there for Arch Madness?
I think two or three things, Andy, and I think you've laid it out really well. I think first and foremost, we have great basketball, okay? And thus, our programs are able to elicit the type of fan support that you need to have to get people to travel and have that excitement about watching their teams play in March and late February. When you go to our campuses, if you're going to a game at Bradley, a game at Southern Illinois, game at Northern Iowa, a game at Murray State, they just have great fan support, and that permeates into what we do in St. Louis. We're also very fortunate that for St. Louis, it is kind of the epicenter of our conference. I mean, it's the one place, it's the one city with a facility that could handle a tournament like ours where everybody can be there in 5 hours. So if you're in Nashville, you're here in 4 hours, 4 hours and 15 minutes. If you're in Cedar Falls, Iowa, you're here in 5 hours. If you're in Carbondale, you're here in an hour and a half. Nobody really has to go through great trials or tribulations to get to St. Louis. And then again, you're coming to St. Louis. You're coming to a city of 4 million people, great restaurants, great food. There's always something else going on. The fans get a chance to have a blast and do things outside of the confines of the arena. We've just, again, been very fortunate, very blessed to have our tournament here. And there's probably 6 or 7 other bullet points that we could add to this conversation that I'm probably forgetting right now.
One last thing to put a bow on it, the television contract of having your final really be the start of the championship week, nationally broadcasted. It's always been a great sort of lead-in to the beginning of that week and sort of the first major one to check off of the team going to the tournament. What has that meant to the league to still hold that spot?
It's huge, and we are extremely grateful for the relationships that we have with CBS and ESPN and having the ability to do that. As you know, there aren't a lot of conferences playing their championships on what we would refer to as the old broadcast stalwarts, where ESPN, certainly cable, that type of thing. But for us to have our championship on CBS, and as you know, Andy, we're always kind of running, bumping into or leading into the Big Ten, and those games are always great. It is a great platform for our championship, and we're extremely fortunate to be in that circumstance, in that situation, and it's of true benefit to the Missouri Valley Conference. But we also think it's a quid pro quo because it's going to be a great game. It's going to be well attended. The fans are going to be lively and demonstrate great fervor. We think it's a win-win for everybody.
So everyone I've talked to has a great belief that Indiana State can get in and win games. I say first thing is, how do you get in? You got to get in. Can you get in at large? Do you win the AQ? But it's definitely a team that no one would be shocked that I've talked to say, okay, they're playing in the Sweet 16. They've got the ability. There's depth, though, in this league. We know that Drake has the talent. Uh, Obviously, there's been times shown flashes from whether it's Belmont or Southern Illinois, and I could go on. That there's a number of schools that certainly have the ability to get hot for 3 days, and then again win games in March. How do you size up that Indiana State right now and what Josh has done there to revitalize that program, and what could lie ahead with really some of these other schools that have a chance to finish in that top 3 or 4 and be in position to maybe get that AQ?
Well, I think the thing that, and obviously feel very much some bias, be honest about the conference I represent, but I think we're a two-bid league. I think obviously with Indiana State this morning having a net of 24, I can't imagine a team with a net of 24 not getting an at-large bid if they don't win their AQ. But Drake now being at 55, playing well, Tucker playing like the all-conference player that we've seen. I don't think there's any question that they're also a team. And we saw that last year, being up on Miami with about 4 or 5 minutes left in the game, and then Miami having a chance to go all the way to the Final Four. So I think we've got two teams that I think anybody having a serious conversation about the NCAA tournament, that those two teams are already in that conversation and well steeped in that conversation. When I think you look at some of the other teams in our league, and you talked about it, the depth is tremendous. I think the one team that people may be overlooking right now is Bradley.
Yep.
Bradley had a great start to their season. Connor Hickman, who may be their most important player, goes down for 4 or 5 games. They struggle. He comes back. I think as we're speaking now, they've won 6 games in a row. And we know that they won our regular season last year, played in our championship game last season. Brian's doing a great job with the team. I think they're going to have a chance. And then, you look a little bit at Southern Illinois. I think Brian's done a tremendous job this year. I think Xavier Johnson is maybe. I think people need to be talking about him in the All-American space, first, second, third team, whichever one you want to use. I think he's playing that well. And the fact that they've really gelled as a team is something that you just can't, ignore. So I look at those teams, and you know what? Ben's team in Northern Iowa, they kind of got off to a slow start. They played a hellacious schedule. They weren't afraid to challenge themselves. Had to deal with some injuries, some nagging nicks and things of that nature, but playing really well now. And the thing that's great is all those teams are playing each other. As an ex-coach, I'm looking at the schedule and I'm going, oh my God. I'm watching Northern, like I'm going up tomorrow to see Northern Iowa host Southern Illinois. And I'm thinking to myself, they were just at Belmont. Okay. And so now they got to go home and play Southern Illinois, has just about playing as well as anybody in the league. And who knows what their next game is going to be. So it's kind of neat that we have so many good teams, and that's not in any way to exclude people like Belmont or Murray State. Steve's doing a nice job. They're playing a lot better over the last month. Missouri State, looked like they were starting to right themselves. We're just fortunate. It's a great basketball league. It's a great basketball experience, and I feel bad for the coaches because every night, I guarantee you somebody's sleeping in the field because the league is just too hard.
Well, and the race to get one of those top 4 seeds is going to be really intriguing to watch over the next 7 weeks.
Makes a
Jeff,
difference.
Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing how this all plays out, and great news that the partnership with the Enterprise Center continues for years ahead.
Thank you, Andy, and thanks for all you do. Stay safe.